some very, very upsetting things have happened, particularly involving the saga around the Epping Hotel, the Bell Hotel in Epping, where the injunction was given to remove asylum seekers from the hotel due to organic grassroots protests, mainly organized by one guy by the name of Callum Barker, ex-Homeland activist. Say you want about Homeland and you know, Callum himself, whatever you want to say. Obviously, there's been many smear pieces done on Callum and stuff like that. He's been integral in organising these protests and standing up for the safety of his community to large success. He's now been given the nickname of the Lion of Epping, but he's been arrested at the recent protest outside the hotel in Epping, where the ruling came down recently, and play this video now from Vox Populi. The Epping residents' fear of crime was properly taken into account. We agree it's relevant, but it is clearly outweighed by the quote-unquote undesirability of incentivizing protests, of preserving the status quo, and the range of public interest factors. From Lord Justice Bean, who I believe is currently being investigated for potentially being a member of the Fabian Society and dubious links to the Labour Party and stuff like that. But here is the video in question, which I'll bring up on screen for you now, where this ruling was given down, a truly immortal ruling that has sparked a lot of unrest in recent days. Coming on screen now.
The Epping residents' fear of crime was properly taken into account by the judge as a factor in favour of the grant of an injunction. He described it as being of limited weight. The appellants do not say it was irrelevant. The council does not say it should be decisive. We agree that it is relevant, but in our view it is clearly outweighed in the American cyanamide balancing exercise by the undesirability of incentivizing protests, by the desirability in the interests of justice of preserving the status quo for the relatively brief period leading up to the forthcoming trial, and by the range of public interest factors which we have discussed in our judgment.
Get these disgusting fucking Fabian communist traitors out, as far as I am concerned. I'm sorry. Preserving the status quo. Funnily enough, ladies and gentlemen, again, I know I'm preaching to the converted here with you, those of you who tune into these episodes, and thank you ever so much. I greatly appreciate every single one of you who tunes in to watch these episodes, who leave comments, who shares, who likes, who subscribes, etc. Thank you all so much, so much, because the way the country's going, can't see us being on the airwaves, so to speak, much longer in terms of how the descent into true anarcho-tyranny is going. But in case you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, the reason people protest is obviously because they're not happy with the status quo. And people have not been happy for a long time now with their daughters being put in danger and all of their children being put in danger by these foreign people that should not be here. Right? They're sick and tired of their homes being turned into dumping grounds for the third world. We don't want it. We never wanted it. Never voted for it, never wanted for it, and still don't want it. It's being forced upon us. That's why people are protesting, right? That's why people are protesting. And obviously now all the justices, all the judges, whatever, they only care about preserving the status quo. That is the very reason why people are angry, because we don't like the status quo. I thought that we were meant to have a right to say things and change things when we weren't happy with them, but quite clearly we don't. We need to have a bunch of third world savages forced on us no matter what, no matter how much we protest against it, no matter how much we vote against it, we need to have these forced upon us. So this has been a truly landmark verdict where, again, the rights of quote-unquote asylum seekers matter more than the rights of Epping. And Bridget Phillipson was on the Sky News, I believe this clip is from, was on Sky News talking about this. She was outright asked if she agreed with the verdict, and she said yes, and you shouldn't be surprised by this. You shouldn't be surprised by this, whatever. She blamed it on tried to blame it on the things that were coming from the Conservative government, what we inherited, etc., yada, yada, yada. All of the bullshit, basically, because obviously we know that these two governments have been in bed together. They tried to make it look like they're opposed to each other, but in reality, it's all a pantomime. It's all an act, right? We've known that for a long time now, that the uniparty system is very, very strong indeed, and they are doing the interests of each other. I'll read you the Home Office statement before we go into this, though. The official Home Office statement on the Epping court case, or I should say the Foreign Office statement on the Epping Court of Appeal case. We inherited a chaotic asylum accommodation system costing billions. As we know, everything is from the Conservatives. Everything. The problems we're all dealing now is Conservatives. And Conservatives were terrible. But it doesn't mean you can scapegoat them from everything, right? Don't make me defend the Conservatives, because I fucking hate them. But the Conservatives, you know, you blame them for things that they are rightfully blamed for, namely for overseeing the worst increase in immigration and the worst denigration of our country that's really ever been seen since Blair opened the sluice gates in 1997, right? The government will close all hotels by the end of this Parliament, and we appealed this judgment so hotels like the Bell can be exited in a controlled and orderly way that avoids the chaos of recent years that saw 400 hotels open at a cost of $9 million a day. So what they want to do then, ladies and gentlemen, is they want to bring them out and put them into our communities, right? Force you to take them on, force you to take in the imported voters, which will vote against you and against your interest, and further minoritize you in your own country. So then that's what they want to do. They want to close the hotels and be like, oh yeah, we closed all the hotels. Yeah, but all the people still remain in our communities, and now our democratic vote means absolutely nothing at all. That's the danger. That's what they want, however, which is what we all need to be united in opposing, right? The number of hotels has almost halved since its peak in 2023, and we have brought down costs by 15% and saving $700 million. I expect these are just all lives, putting us back on track to save billions of pounds a year by 28-29. Highly doubtful. Highly doubtful. We're also working hard to relieve pressure on the system and striking back at criminal people smuggling gangs at every stage, returning more than 35,000 people who have no right to be here, despite the fact they have to let then as many in, right? Because it's on a one-to-one basis. Usually then the people coming in are even worse than the people we're sending out. Equipping law enforcement with terror-style powers, counter-terror-style powers, and starting to detain small boat arrivals under our groundbreaking deal with France. Absolute bullshit, because that's the one-in, one-out deal that is resulting in the dinghies being recycled over to France and being sent over our borders again, as I covered a couple of episodes ago. So this is all complete bullshit. This could be solved tomorrow if they really wanted to, because they could just start sending the fucking planes out, you know what I mean, with a bunch of people on them and saying, you know, do not return. You'll be at great risk of even worse things happening if you return. But of course, that's not what they want. They want these people here. They want these people here, and they want to give off just enough of an appearance that they're doing something to convince people that they are doing something, so that they'll continue to vote for them, and we will facilitate our own downfall. That's what the government is banking on, right? The government is banking on us facilitating and signing off on our own downfall, and we need to be like, no, because we have nowhere else to go, ladies and gentlemen. We, as in the people of these isles, have nowhere else to go, right? I actually got told in one of my comment sections that I look apparently Middle Eastern. Let me know if you think I look Middle Eastern. I know I need a haircut. I know I need a little bit of a shave, right? As far as I know, I'm not Middle Eastern, okay? Anyway, as far as I know, I'm pretty much. I've never done a DNA test. Maybe one thing that I should do, but I don't know. Ever since I covered the episode, like a good few episodes ago, back when I first started this show, and I covered that 23andMe was basically having its data sent to China. I've been very, very concerned about, like, you know, putting my DNA in these platforms and stuff like that. So if you have a good one that I can do let me know. It's something I've always been interested in and wanted to do. But anyway, Bridget Phillipson admits here that she agrees with the lawyers, and that therefore illegal migrant rights are more important than the rights of British citizens. The news anchor asks, your lawyers said the rights of asylum seekers are more important than local people. Do you agree with them? And she says, of course we do. That's why I dare say in the system that we're going to have to come, the age of the female politician will be absolutely the age of the liberal female politician for sure, but the age of the liberal politician, the liberal female politician, I know I just repeated myself twice there, but the age of the female politician is on its way out. I am very confident of that.
Your lawyers, under your guidance, have said in terms that the rights of asylum seekers are more important than the rights of local people in Epping Forest. Would you at least acknowledge that that is what they will hear? And it's up to you. Ministers can say, we agree with that, or we don't agree with it. You can't simply say, let's balance things. Do you agree with what your lawyers said, or don't you?
Yes, of course we do. But
your lawyers...
So there we go. Your lawyers, under your guidance, said this. Do you agree with them? Yes, of course we do. Government, massive mask-off moment. And that's why even Elon Musk has been massively covering this story again, even in the comment section of this video I just played you here. Comments saying that a government that puts foreigners above their own people is, by definition, treasonous and illegitimate. So we now, again, have an illegitimate government. We've had an illegitimate government for a fucking long time, if you ask me. But again, outright saying now that, yes, the rights of our imported voter bloc matter more than the rights of the natives. So the government is our enemy. So one of the things I just recorded, which will be coming out hopefully fairly soon, depending on if I might record it again, it is now understanding, ladies and gentlemen, that we have no one left to rely on but ourselves at this point. We have no one left to rely on but ourselves and our own people. So we need to start banding together. We need to start uniting. We need to start understanding that it is a war. And in many ways now, it is us or them. It is us or them. And it is us or the rest of the world. Either we are going to go extinct as a people, right? Or we survive, and we might have to do some things that we're not proud of in the short term in order to do that. It's as simple as that, because the state is not on our side. And that was made abundantly clear when they arrested one of the prominent political activists at one of the recent protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, Callum Barker. Callum Barker has got himself the nickname now of the Lion of Epping, he's known as, for his work with organizing these protests, right? And the thing is that's different about these protests. They're not like the one that's going to be coming on September the 13th in London with Tommy Robinson. These are true grassroots protests from locals in the area that are sick and tired of being taken advantage of and being put in danger systematically by design by a treasonous government. So what did the state decide that they were going to do? Knowing that he was a target, they were going to take him in and arrest him, which is what this video from Jack Hadfield on X is going to illustrate for you now, ladies and gentlemen. You'll see Callum and the moment he got taken into custody here coming on screen for you now. There's Callum with the sign. And there the police have snatched him. So you hear there multiple shouts of traitors, how dare you. The police don't care in many instances. One of the comments, which I appreciate somebody left on a video, which is me trying to show empathy to some of the elements of the police, which may feel like they're caught between a rock and a hard place. And somebody come in with a great comment at this point, being like, even if they leave and they leave that position then open for, say, a foreigner that wants to come in and will operate on this sectarian basis, at the very least, if they leave and they show that element of courage, they'll retain the little modicum of respect that they can get with their own community. And as a result, show then that, they weren't willing to stand for it. They weren't willing to keep the uniform on. They weren't willing to stand for it. And even if it means they have to give that up in the short term, that it'll be remembered in the long term. I fully understand that. That was a great point, which admittedly, I think I missed in my previous critique. So the excuses for the police at this point are running out. And obviously the precedent was set at the Nuremberg trials with the Nazis, for example, that just following orders is not an excuse for the atrocities that you committed. There is a moral law, and if the orders that you were given are immoral, you're expected to disobey them, right? That was this precedent that was set at the Nuremberg trial. So what are the police doing here now? This is where they turned on their own people. They've done disgustingly heinous things, or they'd be covering up for the rape gangs or even raping the kids themselves. They put grannies in prison for things that they say on social media. They put Lucy Connolly for things that they said on social media, which shouldn't be illegal anyway, right? And they let child rapists and disgusting foreign criminals go free. They facilitate the invasion every single day. So the excuses and the time for the police now, pretty much, if it hasn't run out, it's running out very, very quickly. And a lot of these officers, they want to think about what they're doing. They want to think about the side that they're going to come out on, because in the 20th century, they come out on the losing side. In the 21st century, they come out on the losing side as well. This led to the iconic shout, however, and why now? I got a feeling the title of this episode will be called "Liberate England," because somebody managed to video Cal as he was being arrested and get this iconic soundbite now, which will either go down in infamy or as a famous thing. I dare say that it'll be a famous thing, not an infamous thing. He'd been arrested for, again, just standing up for his community and for his people, a highly respectable thing to do, a very dangerous and courageous thing to do. And he's been arrested for that. Didn't cause no violence or anything like that, mainly for highlighting the plight the people of Epping were facing. But now we have this on camera. We have Liberate England. And yes, absolutely, Liberate England indeed.
What helped you now? Just need a bit of room. Just need a bit of room.
Liberate England!
Resources. Guys, space.
Now, the sad thing is the mainstream media will take that because Callum may not sound as though he's a Oxford-educated, sophisticato or whatever you want to say, right? Because he sounds like just a regular middle-class, a regular working-class person. The difference between, say, a Tommy Robinson and a Douglas Murray, for example. The mainstream media could have a field day with this. Oh, look how uneducated, look how down, look how pathetic this person is. No, this is a person that's fighting for his community. This is a good person right here, I think. Obviously, I don't know Callum personally. From what I understand, he's not that bad of a person whatsoever. Just cares about his people, just cares about his community, and is being persecuted now by the state for it, as we've seen time and time and time again. You say that the post that they tried to smear him with from before when he was going through his days, I think Callum did have a similar journey to James Monroe, who I talked about before, which you should go listen to that interview if you haven't done so already. James Monroe was one of the persons that came on and detailed how he did actually get involved in quite far-right extremism in his youth and managed to get himself out of it, largely because of his affiliation with the Homeland Party and how it redirected his efforts. Again, there's nothing about this that screams Nazi or anything like that to me, or wants to do any harm to people, just that doesn't want these people in his community and is protecting his community. And that is very, very respectable to do so, especially when Callum was one of the people now that highlighted that the people in these hotels, maybe this is not recent, but it is potentially something we've seen happening time and time again, is that the people in these hotels are potentially armed and very fucking dangerous, and they are indeed a foreign enforcement arm. So doing some snooping, Callum posted this a couple of days ago. He said, it would appear that one of the people inside the Bell Hotel is a wannabe gangster with guns. And there's two clips which he posted here, one of which was recorded inside the Bell Hotel. And somebody managed to trace the person's alleged TikTok account or Snapchat account, is I believe it's Snapchat, Amjad Khan, and there's plenty of footage on there of when he was back in one of his other countries, I believe, brandishing weapons, right? And you have to wonder, are they armed and dangerous inside this hotel? We've seen that indeed these criminals do indeed have weapons in many instances. I covered the clip before, a while ago, of a guy with an AK-47 saying he was going to go out and kill the EDL. So very good suspicion, but these are the kind of people that now the courts have said, no, you need to house these people within your communities for some reason. For some reason. Video coming on screen now.
You're going to just record it there.
So you can see this is from the Bell Hotel. This is the protest outside. They looked up his story, and you can see there's a video on there. I'm going to mute it just in case there's music or whatever. But you can see that's an MP5. You can see there's another one here of him holding some kind of pistol. It appears to be a Glock. Another one here when he was in Pakistan holding weapons. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are not, again, people fleeing war zones. These are not people fleeing war zones whatsoever. These are not genuine asylum seekers. If anything, they are just ruining the claims of genuine asylum seekers that want to come here to seek safety. And the other clip then is just pretty much the same. Well, I can see, he looks like he's driving quite a nice car out in Pakistan with a gun again. So there's plenty of weapon videos on this person's Snapchat account, and we are supposed to believe that this is just some, person fleeing persecution or something like that. We're supposed to believe that this is somebody we need to offer sanctuary to? No, it's a person here to be a foreign enforcement arm for a treasonous government. That's what they're here for. It tells you a lot when the Home Office, again, Home Office, I always call them the Foreign Office, compared the rape of young girls, the lawyer compared the rape of young girls to a perceived nuisance. That's the way that they see it. They see the rape of young girls, such as that 14-year-old girl that was sexually assaulted in Epping, as a perceived nuisance. So this is Edward Brown, who was represented the Home Office, defended the migrant hotels, saying, quote, in a free society, which already, can you argue that the UK is anything resembling a free society? Can you really argue that when they have more free speech crimes or more speech crimes than any other country that I'm aware of? That, you know, rape has gone up, what, multiple orders of magnitude in a matter of years in many areas? That we crack down on people for saying things and for social media posts, but we let gang rapists go free. Go fuck yourself. We're not a free society. It says we are all obliged to put up with a degree of perceived nuisance. So writing in the Times, Brown is allegedly to have said, criminal wrongdoing and any local concerns arising from criminal wrongdoing is not a sufficient reason to require the immediate closure of asylum accommodation, infrastructure, housing many other individuals. I'd argue that it is because all of them have come here illegally. It is criminal wrongdoing for all of them because they've all come here illegally. Get them the fuck out. Claims that asylum seekers are more likely to commit violent crime were not appropriately considered by the judge. Quote, in a free society, we are obliged to put up with a degree of perceived nuisance. Brown said the Cuba did not believe that the hotels were the most appropriate accommodation for asylum seekers, including because of the cost to the taxpayer. They don't care about that. They're happy leeching every cost of the taxpayer that they can. Of course, a totalitarian, disgusting socialist state is, but change then required a quote-unquote structured approach. This is truly, truly disgusting. We have lawyers for our own quote-unquote Home Office arguing that the rights of foreigners matter more than the rights of the natives. And as you know, then that makes you an occupied country, whether you are, you know, quite literally, occupied in the sense of it's a foreign power or anything like that. No, we're occupied by our own government that's operating on foreign interests. And this is truly, truly disgusting. There's no words. There's honestly no words to describe how disgusting it is. And of course, the police then, they go really heavy-handed with the protesters in question, which I'll show you in the video now. This is a police in Epping. They drag a father out of his car in front of his crying and distraught son. This is allegedly for no reason, but this is what they do. These are the police that seem to be truly on the side of the disgusting fascists that we have in government, refusing to stand with the British public. They're choosing to stand with the government. And again, they need to understand the ramifications of that choice. That again, just following orders is not going to be seen as a valid excuse. So here's that video now coming on screen for you.
I'm trying to drag him out of the car. What are you doing? No, I'm getting silly now, bruv. What on earth are they doing to him? He's trying to go home. We can't move at all there. They're making his son cry as well. I'm not getting that on camera. His son was in tears. Hey, you're dragging him out of the car. What are they doing?
Remember their names, remember their badges, and remember what they did when the crocodile tears inevitably come. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the names, remember the badge numbers, remember when the crocodile tears will inevitably come. That's my response to this. I was just following orders or whatever will not be enough. When it's a protest for your citizens' safety, you go down and crack down on it as if they're enemies of the state, right? As if they've done the worst crimes imaginable. But when it's other kind of protests or other kind of civil gatherings, you get involved and you do all manner of things that bring true shame on yourselves as a police force, bring true shame on us as a nation. So I'm not going to play this video with sound, ladies and gentlemen, because it's got what I feel is going to be copyright music. But here's an example of UK police at some kind of other public gathering where, again, they'll happily make fools of themselves and bring tremendous humiliation on us as police, as them as police and as us as people and us as a nation, right? Which basically be seen as a free buffet for the entire world. This is that video which I'm referring to. So you can see a police officer bouncing and dancing in this really stupid, retarded way, dropping on the floor with all of these little, clapping seals clapping along. This is truly bear in mind, you've probably got kids in these communities that are scared to walk outside, families that are scared to let their daughters go outside because their kids will be fucking taken on street corners and raped. Bear in mind, you have these disgusting invertebrates that are doing this row dance and all of the, trained seals clapping along. This is disgusting, especially when you know how much these people are getting paid and the pensions they get and how much state protection they get for the disgusting things that they do when they betray their own people. I'm sorry, the time for tolerance is over. The time for tolerance was long, long, long ago. This is what makes us into a laughing stock on the world stage. When you see now the videos coming out of America with their police or their forces, you've got Pete Hegseth and Bobby Kennedy, maybe not the best example for some of the pull-ups I've seen, but you got Pete Hegseth going up and doing his exercise, going out with the Marines, doing his Murph or whatever workout it is, and he's got kafir. He's got kafir tattooed on the inside of his bicep as a mark of pride, right? As a mark of pride and as a mark of defiance, you wear that thing that is meant to be, you wear that term that is meant to be a denigrating insult as a mark of pride, right? You see the videos coming out now where, again, they're prioritizing strength, prioritizing unity, going after the cartels, potentially with special forces, right? The ICE commercials where now you even have the ex-Superman actor, wasn't it, Dean Cain, signed up as an ICE agent. And then you have this in the UK. And you have this in the UK. You have, what's his name, Nayib Bukele? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. The El Salvadorian leader, who came in and within a few months, having just, taken the forces that he had at his disposal, waged war against MS-13, chucked a bunch of them in prison, and turned El Salvador from what was one of the worst countries in the world to now doing one of the best. Javier Milei, again, turning the socialist paradigm on its head, and now turning into Argentina, in a country that hasn't prospered in like 40 to 50 years or whatever it is when the socialists took over, to now the country that's prospering for the first time in God knows how long. And this is what we get in the UK. Life is very much so unfair. But if you enjoyed that clip, then make sure to go on over to the Voice of the Valleys X page at VOT_Valleys on X. We're also on Instagram at Voice of the Valleys. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Godspeed.